Hi, and welcome to the Integrated Rehab and Performance Golf Podcast. My name is Nick Curtis, and I'm running the show here at the Integrated Rehab and Performance Center. On this first episode, what I'd like to do is give you a kind of an idea of what the Integrated Rehab and Performance Center is all about, as well as a little background on myself and some of the programs that I'm running here through the IRPC. So personally, I graduated with a bachelor's in exercise science. I then went on to chiropractic school, which I am graduating from in December of 2023. In that time, I got my master's in exercise science. I also went and got my certified strength and conditioning specialist certification and my National Registry for Emergency Medical Technicians, or my EMT license. So a pretty busy time there. The idea was, as you can tell, we are integrating some of the medicine with the performance aspect of, in this case, golf, right? So the goal here is to use my background in rehab to performance and get golfers wherever they are on the spectrum, if they're in pain or they have injury limiting them, or if they're just looking to have a targeted way of improving their performance. I have the background here to help no matter where they are or wherever they fall on that spectrum there. And again, I have other certifications that kind of help me along the way here. Some are more based in the chiropractic world, and others more in that performance, strength and conditioning side of the spectrum. So overall, I think this does a pretty good job describing what the IRPC is all about. We are kind of a one-stop shop where we'll get you back to playing golf, or we will focus primarily on that and improving your performance side of golf. So before diving into some of the programs that I offer here, I think it's really important to understand one of these certifications. That being the TPI certification, or the Titleist Performance Institute certification. Now I am TPI Level 1 and TPI Fitness Level 2 certified. What TPI does, or Titleist Performance Institute, is they have created, after many years of studying and collecting data on the world's best golfers and average Joes, kind of what are some of the key things that you need to understand about a golf swing, and how, from either a medical perspective, in this case for me like the chiropractic perspective, the performance perspective, in this case for me my strength conditioning and performance certifications, and from a golf professional perspective. In this case for me, I don't have that background, but the nice thing about TPI is that they give you that information. So what they do is they teach these people, golf pros, rehab pros, and strength conditioning performance pros, what are the key things you know about the golf swing, how to analyze it, how to analyze human movement, specifically how to analyze a golfer's movement that translates specifically to the swing, right? And then how do you correlate these things to create an all-encompassing program? Now, what's really helpful for me, being kind of having a background in the performance side and the medical side, is that I can take a look at the strength conditioning, performance, movement analysis that they teach us, and the swing analysis, and be able to create very unique and very specific and targeted ways of improving these things, right? Programs for improving these things. And I want to show you a little bit about the TPI movement analysis and the TPI kind of swing analysis and how we correlate these things together.
And see here, this is part of the movement analysis for TPI's movement screen. First thing we're doing here is that overhead deep squat. Now this is just a few examples of the movement screen. There's 15 different movements that we do, but each one tells us something a little bit different. And here we can see, we like to see this from the front and from the side view. Really important one here is looking at dissociation between the spine and the pelvis. Here we're looking at the upper body's ability, so kind of the thoracic spine, lumbar spine, dissociating from the pelvis. Okay, so we want to know, can they twist that upper body, keeping their hips and pelvis straight? Okay, really should be looking down at the ground like he was there, and he does a pretty good job of that. We do another one, a pelvic rotation test, and then a pelvic tilt test. So these tests are really, really important, especially in a golf swing. You can see how this mimics a golf swing, and that we need to know that both the upper and lower body can move relative to each other, not in an orientation at the same time. So an example of this is what TPI had noticed, the kinematic sequence of a swing, where first in our backswing, we are leading with our hips. Our hips kind of leave first, and then our thoracic spine, and then our upper arm, and then the club. And those all kind of move in that sequence, and in the same way, they will stop in that same order. And then on our downswing, the same thing happens where our hips will lead. Our thoracic spine needs to be able to load and kind of stay for a second before that comes along, and then again the upper arm and the club. And if we can't kind of coil or dissociate our hips from our spine like that, we see a lot of association with different swing characteristics that we might think are like pathological in this case, where it's leading to those slices or hooks or inconsistent ball striking, right? So not only do we need to be able to check this in our movement screen, right? So you need a practiced eye that knows what they're doing to even look for these sort of things, and then quantify them, and then be able to retest them and treat them, hopefully in the middle, right? So we will make sure that the body is actually capable of moving relative to each other, like there, and another here, kind of struggling there, to achieve those positions before we start working on different ball striking drills or swing drills, where we're working on the timing, different things like that, yet we haven't even trained the body in the first place to be able to move relative to each other. It's putting ourselves in a really tough spot to work on the finer details of a golf swing when the body is fighting back so much, right? So that's a big idea between this, where with that thoracic or pelvic rotation test, just for a timing, sequencing thing, consistency thing, and then again for power production, being able to coil and sequence like that. So another test here, the hip bridge test, looking to hold that for 10-ish seconds, but a big issue here is we get a lot of cramping, right? So he there mentioned that he had cramped in the hamstring, where the hamstrings are doing all the work. TPI calls the glutes the king of the golf swing, right? With the core being and the abs being kind of the queen. If we aren't using our glutes how we're supposed to, or they're not stabilizing where they're supposed to, obviously lots of implications there with force production, but especially with sequencing, timing, and maintaining angles and things like that. So when our hamstrings are doing the work there, when our glutes should be, this is something that tells us we really need to learn how to activate the glute and then work on strengthening it. But first and foremost, we need to know, can we even turn on that glute when we need to? So a really important test there. A couple more examples here. Shoulder mobility, really important, not only in standing, but hey, let's get in that golf posture and make sure that we can maintain that too. Now, for a practiced eye, that there's a big difference there where we're, do we have that shoulder mobility, and then getting in that golf posture tells us, hey, what's the scap doing? Can the scap stabilize in this different position? And again, there's a lot of little things we're looking for in there that are not necessarily important to everyone at home, but that we are taught to do, in my chiropractic schooling, the certifications I've taken, my rehab background, strength conditioning background, and things like that. Again, seeing that same test here. Some wrist mobility drills, important just to have some baseline data, making sure that that's even possible to achieve those sort of positions. Another upper extremity kind of mobility testing in different ways there. So again, just seeing, having a background of how do all of these joints move along with each other, on top of are we strong in those positions, and do we have the motor coordination, another really important aspect of what the programs we're creating here are addressing specifically, right? We do the test to tell us exactly what we need to do. It's the first time a lot of people at home might be getting very, very precise and specific strength conditioning, mobility and stability, and motor patterning programming in the weight room or at home that is addressing their findings. Now we take those and we associate that with the swing analysis. Again, not a golf professional, but I've been taught with the TPI how to assess and look for 12 swing characteristics. And again, we call them swing characteristics because they're characteristics, not necessarily faults. Typically they will be faults, but every person has a unique swing, and maybe some of these things are part of their swing, but we want to make sure that they are efficient in their swing. And a lot of times people are fighting to get in these positions that they can't really achieve, and if we find that in that movement analysis and it correlates to our swing analysis here, we're really going to prioritize those in the weight room and at home in our mobility, stability, strength conditioning stuff, as well as our swing drill routine that I build out for people based off their swing analysis and their movement analysis. So some examples here, some still images of the lines that we draw. This is kind of an over a top line. Here we're looking at sway and whether or not the golfer comes too far forward on their downswing, or if they're leaving or hanging back, we like to say, where they're kind of loading up backwards, moving backwards, and then not approaching that space that they had left before. Right, so a lot of different things that we look for. Again, this is coming from the front view. Another behind view, early extension, very common. What we're looking to see is there daylight between this person's back glute. All really important things to look at. This is the change in posture that we had noticed from the address of the ball versus the top of the backswing here. Again, all just different lines that we've been taught to draw and assess, and we understand what is going on with these lines. And I really enjoy breaking down our findings, the 12 swing characteristics with the clients, and showing them. A lot of people have never seen their swing like this before, where we can point out very specific things that we're looking for. Okay. And another kind of swing plane lines drawn there. Sway, hang back lines here, doing a really good job of staying in that box there, and a very open angle here at the top. Again, just some angles and some lines that we typically will draw and talk about with our clients. Then we put that into the TPI programming. We correlate that with our movement analysis, and that tells us exactly what we want to work on, at least what we want to work on first, in conjunction with our strength and conditioning.
And so you can think about it this way. The movement tells us where we need to build mobility and stability or some motor coordination to actually achieve golf positions repeatedly and efficiently, right? The swing analysis tells me, in correlation with the movement screen, which swing characteristics you possess that are likely leading to poor performance and are worth correcting. In this way, we are giving you a targeted swing drills to do while also making sure we are improving your ability to actually achieve those positions in the first place. How many times have you tried swing drills off YouTube or something that maybe start helping out a little bit, maybe start straightening out that drive, whatever it might be, or you're chunking it less, but then it stops working, right? And in the next season you have the same issue. A lot of that is because when you were working on those drills, you're fighting your body so much to actually achieve the cues that the drill is giving you, that is these positions that it's telling you to get into, is so difficult for your brain to either coordinate or for your joints and mobility to actually get into, and maybe you are weak in these positions and you have the passive mobility to get in there, but man, to do it yourself or to use the muscles to sequence to get you into those positions, it just doesn't happen. And so you're fighting so hard to get in there that you never retain any of those cues or the ability to actually swing that club as the drill is telling you to, repeatedly, efficiently, and consistently. Right, so in this case we are addressing the body, your body, in those ways while we work on the swing drills, right? So in total, the programs here, let me simplify, is we do offer a strength conditioning, right? Let's get you strong, and let's translate that strength to power in the golf swing. And in our warm-up drills and our accessory lifts, I program in the mobility, stability, and coordination exercise and kind of movement prescription that is addressing your movement screen to help you get into these golf-specific positions. On top of that, we use TPI's golf drill library based off their kind of recommendations based off your swing analysis to program, and I will kind of filter the drills to you. I'm not coaching the drills, I didn't come up with the drills, but based off your findings, I will filter the drills to you and build a routine for you that will help you with your swing characteristics while addressing your ability to actually get into those positions in the first place, right? This is the first time you can ever actually get this fully integrated approach here with your golf swing, where we're helping you get into these positions and we're giving you drills that are allowing you to practice into these positions and kind of own these positions for the first time while working on your, swing efficiency and building a more consistent swing that way. So
this is something that I'm really excited to offer on the performance end. The same things will be coming on the rehab end. We just have to start from a kind of closer to the ground, rebuilding some of these patterns on a more fundamental standpoint, right? So I'm really excited to offer these sort of programs. Right now, this Integrated Rehab and Performance Center is mostly an online entity, but soon enough, it'll have a brick and mortar location somewhere here in the Nashville area. And so I will leave it at that for the first episode. There is another whole host of benefits that come from building new habits and routines and being a healthier lifestyle that comes with joining a program like this, strength conditioning, motor control, mobility, maintaining your mobility as you age, as you get older throughout the years. Again, the benefits here deserve not only a whole podcast episode, but probably just a dedicated podcast, which there are many of out there, just to talk about the benefits of strength conditioning and fitness, right? So just another kind of priceless benefit to getting started in something like this. And what I like to think about is just let golf be the catalyst. We all love golf. It's a great hobby of ours. You spend a lot of time thinking about it and playing it. And so I say let that be the catalyst to improving your strength, your conditioning, your mobility, your diet, right? So let it be a kind of a motivating factor to improve your diet, or start thinking about that more. All these kind of unsaid things that come along with starting a kind of a fitness program like this, or even just starting the mobility stability programming with the swing drill, kind of the other option that I have that doesn't have the strength and conditioning component with it. Still, this will influence you to maybe try to dial in your sleep, dial in your diet, all these other things, and just let golf be the catalyst.